Good morning, everybody. Today is Wednesday, August 30th, and I wanted to record this quick video for you, sharing some of my impressions on the of the discussion post in response to Dirk's essay and the Birkenkotter and Hacker as well. I have gone through SpeedGrader and graded them as always, and I left comments for some of you. I will also read through the discussion thread as I always do and leave comments for a few more. But what I wanted to say in this video is extremely important, and I want you to consider this feedback very carefully and continue to implement it from here on out. So, first of all, Carrie Dirk is a woman, not a man, but that's hard to understand from her name, and so that's fine. Some of you called him a guy, her a guy. Um, that's minor. What I really want to talk about today is that in a lot of the posts, I realized that the second reading was quite difficult, much more difficult than Dirk's essay. I realized that some of you don't come from the rhetoric background and may find these kinds of readings hard to plow through. I get that. But that said, because this is a graduate class, it is extremely important that you push yourselves beyond what's easy and what's familiar and what's comfortable. And unfortunately, in some of the posts, I did not see people doing that. I saw, in some cases, very general, very generic summaries of, not even summaries, but just kind of like, and Birkenkotter and Hacker talk about genres, and I agree with them, and genres are dynamic structures, and that's it. That's not good enough. We need to tackle and take head on every reading in the same way, however difficult it is. And if we don't understand it, which is fine, we need to be asking questions in these discussion posts. The purpose of the discussion posts is not to necessarily show off what you already know, even though it can be done as well. A very important purpose of these assignments is to work through difficult things, to ask questions, to say, here's what I'm reading, I don't think I understand this, or here's why I understand this, help me figure out if that is correct. It's okay to be wrong. It's perfectly fine to be wrong. What's not fine is skirting around the article and saying, spending about 80% of your post on the easy reading, Dirk's reading, and then just briefly mentioning the second article and leaving it at that. What's going to make you better at this, just like with anything else in life, is if you push yourself beyond what's already comfortable, what's already known, what's already clear. So, as I said, I went ahead and left some comments in SpeedGrader for those of you who I thought didn't pay enough attention to the second reading. And what I'd like to suggest, if you're reading something that's really hard and really dense, latch onto a question, latch onto something that's not clear, and say, okay, here's a reading strategy. What can this be? What can this be about? How can I translate this into my own words and actually have a meaningful explanation, or at least a meaningful question about it if I cannot have an explanation, discussing what it is. Like, for example, what is a dynamic rhetorical structure? Saying just that is not enough. What does it mean? How does that definition in the second reading complement or complicate or does whatever to Dirk's discussion, for instance? How does it add on to something that you already know? So, for example, if you've always thought about genres as these forms, as actually a couple of you have pointed out that, they're forms, but they're much more than that. If you call them dynamic rhetorical structures, what does that mean? How does that work exactly in relation to a more familiar definition of genre, which is form-based? Stuff like that. If you come across a passage that you think is important in a difficult reading, but then you're like, I don't even know where to begin with this, try to come up with some questions. You don't understand certain terms, for example, look them up or speculate about what they might mean. You don't understand a certain line of reasoning in the reading, speculate about what that might mean. So speculation, asking questions, saying maybe it means this, but I'm not sure, help me out to figure out, is perfectly fine in these assignments, and that's what I want you to do. If you go back to my explanation of how to write a good discussion post, that's what I'm talking about there. These are not designed to simply say, I've read this and I've done something with it. These are designed as assignments to learn, assignments to think through stuff, to get familiar with the difficult concept, especially if you came to this class from an outside field. Anyway, go ahead and look at my comments in SpeedGrader as well as in the discussion thread, and let's take these suggestions into account and work with them from here on out and improve the discussion posts. Thank you very much, and I look forward to the next batch of interactions, as it were. Have a great day. Bye-bye.